Facebook? What's up, Instagram? I'm putting this everywhere because I don't really know where this is going to have a home at. I'm going to start a new segment, and I don't really think it fits with my YouTube channel, but I also don't really know how it's going to work on Instagram or Facebook because it's going to be super long. But we'll see. So today I'm doing a segment called Girl, I'm Finna Take Your Black Card. And I was going to call it Black Card Revoked, but I figured that I already had copyright. And, you know, as a lawyer, I'm always worried about getting sued. So I decided to call it Girl, I'm Finna Take Your Black Card. And this is a segment in which I review things that I, as a black woman, should have experienced, should have watched, should have done, that I, in 2020, have not done yet. And I figured, you know, movies, TV would be the easiest place to start since, you know, all I gotta do is watch it and say how I feel about it. And today, we're doing a movie that I'm sure most of y'all seen because you're better than me. Menace II Society. So, of course, this movie just came on Netflix, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch this movie, and this movie is a lot. It starts off with a bang, literally. So starts off seeing two guys walking to a gas station. They're getting some beers, and the lady is walking around, following them around. You know, racial profiling as per usual. Guy gets to the counter. The guy's starting to, you know, the cashier's starting to be like, come on, hurry up, rushing them. And, you know, at first I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I get where this is going. And then all of a sudden, my guy starts shooting people. And I'm like, okay, so is this kind of movie? Okay, now I'm aware. So that was a good little bang to the movie. However, then all of a sudden, rewind to the 1960s, and we talk about the 1960s riots and how police were killing people in the streets, and okay, and then we get to the 1970s, and we meet the main character, his name is Caine, and we see where he grew up, and we see what he grew up in. You know, his dad was a drug dealer, and his mom was a drug addict. I don't know how that works, but somehow it did. And you know, we see kind of the dynamics of how he grows up, kind of, sort of, not really. We don't get really an in-depth way is looking at how he grows up, and that's part of the problem I have, and I'm going to talk about that at the end. But, you know, he meets this guy named Purnell, who is a friend of his dad's, who teaches him how to grow up on the streets. Now, when I first watched this movie, I did not pick up this part, because it is kind of, sort of, important to the rest of the movie, so I was like, when it comes up again, I was like, who? But he meets him in the beginning of the movie, and, you know, he shows him how to shoot a gun, even though he's like 5 years old. And he shows him he gives him some beer, and, you know, that's the beginning of the movie. And he also sees his dad kill somebody, which I feel like is kind of traumatizing, but okay. So we cut to 1993. So we got a lot of jumps going on. I'm like, okay, we went from 93 to the 70s, back to 93. What's going on? Okay, so we're going to 1993. Caine is in high school. He just graduated high school. You know, that's talking about, you know, moving on, deciding on what he wants to do. And his cousin dies. Oh, I didn't mention spoiler alert. Spoiler alert on everything in this movie. I should have said that in the beginning, and I'm about to put that in the beginning. Okay. So he is devastated by that, obviously, and that kind of gets him to get more into the streets. So, you know, start killing people, stealing cars, doing stuff like that. Never been to jail before. He never had a record, and so he really didn't know what he was doing. For me, this movie's biggest problem, because it is a good movie, right? It's a very good movie. I think the story is great, and I'm going to talk about that when we get to the really end of this video. But the biggest problem I have with this movie is that it is either too short, or they just added too much stuff in it, because there's so many good stories in this movie that don't really get fleshed out. And I think maybe back in the 90s, having a 2-hour movie was just like, nobody was doing that, especially in like hood movies. So maybe that's why, but like there are so many good parts of this movie that just didn't get explained, right? So, like I said, his cousin dies. He gets some deeper into crime. Don't really learn much about that. At one point, we see him cooking dope, and we're like, oh, he about to get real deep. And that never really gets any follow-up. We don't really know. Is he a drug dealer now? Like, what's going on? Maybe there was something that I missed. You can let me know in the comments. Then he gets in some little entanglement with your girl Jada. who is apparently Purnell, you know, the guy who raised him up in the streets, his baby mama's. And she's feeling on him and stuff. And you know, he starts to like her. He's taking care of his son, and you know, getting a relationship there. And they're deciding to move to Atlanta, right? The girl, I think her name is Ronnie in the movie. I keep calling her Jada. She's deciding to move to Atlanta, and she's like, "Come on, come with me." Okay, that's pretty well fleshed out. That's actually one storyline that is pretty well fleshed out. Then we have, you know, the robbery at the beginning. Right, his homeboy, who's the one who actually killed the dudes, was like, yo, showing everybody this tape of him killing people. And I was just like, why? I think Hood 101 is like, snitches is everywhere, my guy. Like, you didn't see this coming? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But that does have a thing at the end that doesn't really get, like, we don't really know exactly what happens. And then he gets a girl pregnant out of nowhere, and that becomes a big storyline that never really gets fleshed out. Like, it just doesn't. But my biggest problem is like that's such a big part of the story. Or there's a part where he gets beat up by the cops. That could have really been a big part because his, you know, there was so much going on with that, with them beating him up, leaving him in the wrong side of the neighborhood so he can get killed. The little boy saying, "Oh, do cops hate black people?" Like, I wish that would have got more, like, something more about that. Like, no, not really. So then we get to the ending, because to be quite honest, everything in between is kind of just leading up to the ending. And like I said, it's a good movie. It's a good storyline. I was not bored anywhere through this movie, and that's why I don't really watch a lot of movies, because I get bored really easily. And then we get to the end, and everything just happens at once. Old boy snitches on them because Caine beats him up at a party because he was filling up on Jada, and then he snitches because the guy was showing everybody the freaking video like an idiot. So he snitches on them. That could have had a whole thing that had that leading up, could have had some tension there. Then we have the girl that he gets pregnant. Her cousin is coming through trying to do something with him, trying to get him, because she didn't want to take care of the baby. And that feels rushed because we're like, wait, what? Because spoiler, huge spoiler, Bull comes through, her cousin comes through and kills everybody at the end. And I'm just like, wait, what? So and then the guy who kills the people in the beginning, the robbery, he gets arrested. We don't really get much on that, or what happened, how they found him. He just gets arrested. Jada, I guess, is still going to Atlanta. They never really fleshed that part out. Thankfully, the little boy wasn't hurt, so he's still alive. He probably has a traumatic experience from that. It could have linked that to when he saw his dad kill somebody when he was younger, and that could have been his own thing. I just really feel like... Oh, and we didn't even get to the part where the Muslim dude dies. He had his whole life ahead of him. He had his dad who was speaking knowledge to the guy Caine, who was the one who convinced him to go to Atlanta. It was just so much. It was so much in this movie. Like, it could have been an amazingly great movie. Like, and to be quite honest, even with the kind of holes that there were in this movie, it was a good story. Like, you got the story. The story is a young black man in the hood, born in the hood. His parents were really not there for him. His dad, well, I didn't mention this. His parents died when he was 10 years old. He had to live with his grandparents. His grandparents were super religious. And, you know, he's trying to deal with, am I streets? Am I going to stay in the streets and die or go to jail? Or am I going to move out, move away from the hood, and do better for myself? And it's kind of this thing that is definitely tension building on that storyline. That's why I said maybe there's too many storylines. Because all of them are good, but it just, I just felt like it was a lot. And this movie is a really good movie, so I'm not trashing on the movie at all. But I just, if we're going on a storyline, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 storyline. Because of the, like, certain holes and things that aren't fleshed out and the jumping around, I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, if you are like me and you are a black person who's never seen it, I would suggest you do, even though it came out in 1993, so I have no reason of never seeing it, because I've been born that whole time. I've been here. I was born in 91. Why haven't I seen this? I mean, obviously couldn't see it in 93. I don't think anybody would take a 2-year-old to the movies. If you would, maybe don't be a parent. But, you know, I just really think it's a good movie, but there's just little things that could have been better. I feel like, I hate remakes. But it's so much that I want in that movie. Maybe there should be a remake. Because it's just such a good movie that could have been done well. Like, really well. It could have been a 10 out of 10 movie, to be quite honest. Especially, like, with everything going on now. You know what? Maybe we should remake this movie. Y'all let me know in the comments. Because I really like this movie, but I just really felt like it was rushed at the end, to be quite honest. They were just like, all right, wrap everything up. We're done. But with that being said, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, put it in the comment section. If you would like to suggest something for me to watch next week, I'm thinking... I saw that Belly is on Hulu. I've never seen that either. I know. Don't judge me. We're going to have a lot of judgment coming my way. I have not seen most black movies, okay? Just take that from this point, okay? So just give me some suggestions of stuff you want me to watch or want me to do that maybe I can, you know, that I may not have done. And with that being said, I will see y'all next week. This will be every Friday. So if you're down, come back around. I'll see you. Bye.